guys, so today we are doing a film analysis. I am actually filming this intro after I see the whole video because I realized I didn't tell you guys some information. So, if you guys want to watch a non-spoiler review, because this one is going to have a lot of spoilers, a lot of discussions, a lot of things that happen within the show, so this is more of like a let's talk about this show that I watched type of video. So if you guys would like to watch just a review, we can put a, I don't know where it is, but we're going to put an I and link the first video, which is the non-spoiler review, and I'll link it also down below. You've seen the show already and you are ready to discuss, or you just want to hear my opinions on it, continue watching. It's not going to be a very structured video because I tried writing a script for this, not really good at stuff like that. So we're just going to do it the way I normally would do it. Just talk my like stream of consciousness type of thing. I did write notes in my YouTube notebook, so we are going to refer back to that. But yes, so this show is about a couple, a Japanese couple. This is a Japanese show that takes place in Japan. They're a Japanese couple who aren't sexually compatible. She can't get it in. He can't get into her, which is a condition. I thought it was vaginitis, but vaginismus, which is a condition involving muscle spasms in the pelvic floor, and it can cause painful, difficult, or impossible to have sexual intercourse, to undergo an exam or insert a tampon, have sex, things like that. It does happen to, like, it is also, like, for some people it's an anxiety thing. It does happen to a lot of people, you know. Most people would probably go to the doctor. Did the main character of the show do that? Fuck no, because, you know, because they were embarrassed. But that also does say a lot about, like, women's health in Asia, especially Japan, and how people just don't want to talk, and it's embarrassing for them, which is fine. Do you, boo-boo? I don't think... Yeah, I don't really like vaginal exams either. I don't really like going to places. I don't like going to the vagina doctor very much either. So I understand why she didn't get this checked out. It's fine. But they try and they try and they try to have sex, and it just doesn't work out. But they still end up getting married. They're still together for like 15 years. Like, it's, I think that they, like, this story's really cute. It's a love story, but it's not a traditional love story. It's not really, it's more about her condition and her, like, problems with sexual stuff and sexual, like, desire, feelings, things like that. Which, especially if you grew up as an Asian, with Asian parents, probably most likely, more likely in Asia, people don't talk about sex. It's not it's just something you casually learn about in school. It's not, you know, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it too often. But it's not something that people talk about as much. I have an Asian mom. My mom is Japanese, for those who don't know. And yeah, I don't think I've ever, like, as a teenager, I never got the birds and the bees. I think that's just something that white kids get. Maybe I'm wrong, but never got that. So this show, going into it, literally, like, there was a bunch of triggers, there was a bunch of things that happened. But, like, I honestly felt like I could relate because I'm Asian American. I can relate in things I can't relate because most of my teenage, no, actually all of my teenage years I've actually spent in America, and I didn't really do stuff. I didn't really do, like, I didn't really have, like, a present at all in Asia when I was a teenager, versus when I was a kid I was a lot more, my world was a lot more in Japan. So, you know, I can't say stuff about everything in the show, but I can give my 2 cents as a Japanese American. So, I guess the pushing point, the starting point of this show, once their like initial backstory is shown, is Kumi-chan, which is the main girl, finds out that her husband is cheating on her because they can't have sex. Yeah. He starts going to a bathhouse, and you know, things like that are, here's the thing in Japan, it's kind of like breathing. As fucked up as this is, it is an Asian stereotype that Japanese men cheat. Like, it's literally like, no, like everyone, it's a sad fact in Japan, but people don't really get divorced because people just cheat. I mean, some people get divorced, but very far between. I understand that might have changed because, like I said, a lot of my knowledge of things are from 20 years ago. And if, as far as I know, I think prostitution is still legal in Japan. Let's see. Very interesting. I'll do a whole video on that because I just looked at it a little bit and it's so fucking complicated. The legality of prostitution in Japan. If you want that, if you want me to talk about that, we should fucking talk about that. But anyway, so there are bathhouses, and he goes to this bathhouse and he leaves the card for this bathhouse in a very open area. We will go back to that because that is a very pinnacle point in this TV show. So she starts going on this forum and talking to what she thinks is a girl about her condition and how it's affecting her marriage because she feels very alone. She's a teacher, like a elementary / middle school teacher, and so she can't really talk to her coworkers about it, and she doesn't feel very, she just feels like she can't really talk to anyone about it, which I can understand. I feel like deep friendships in Japanese culture is very hard. Like, I feel like American people are a lot more open about how they feel and it's not shunned as much, but I feel like there is a stigma in Asian culture for anything mental health related or even out of the norm related, which is interesting because Japan has a lot of what the fuck moments, but you know. And so she, first of all, also, side note, that like really like, I mean, she uses her legitimate email with her actual name in it for this forum. And even though, okay, oh, also, to sidebar a little bit again, this show, the main events of this show does take place like around 2007, so it is a lot, the internet is a lot like newer mainstream than it is now, so think about that maybe. And then it's like, and friend on the forum and meets with this person. She goes and they meet and it's a guy. She thought it was a girl. It was a guy. And because they were talking about sexual things, obviously they get a love hotel. Because that's a smart thing. Let's just go back to like, not go back, let's just preface this. I'm prefacing a lot because this show, it's like a lot. But she could have just, a lot of moments where she could have just walked away and bad things wouldn't happen to her, but she lets them happen to her, which honestly, super fucking relatable. I've been there, I've done that, I get it. But there's so many points when you're just like, but you could have just not done it and it would come, like those, like you have those moments for her. But yeah, so she goes with this guy to a love hotel and essentially he rapes her because she doesn't really give consent. She doesn't really want to have sex, but she also doesn't say no. Yeah. I know, confusing. Why? I don't know why. Okay, I can't tell you how that and why that happened. No, but it is the callous, at least in the TV show. And she starts pretty much just seeing if she can have sex with all of these guys. Because she realizes the only time she can have penetrative sex with someone is when she's raped. Well, she doesn't realize this. I realize this as a watcher. She is only able to have sex when raped, which is a PTSD thing, and it's a thing that happens to some women. It does. It's just like because you're sexual, like I'm not a psychologist. I'm not even a psychology major. But from what I understand, it's because you're like, you connect that assault with sex, and so that's the only way you can have sex, because you can't have sex, like, your brain won't let you have sex with someone you love because it's a trauma thing, which is probably does happen to more like sexually assaulted people, but from what we understand from the show, she isn't like continuously sexually assaulted by people, but she did have that big kind of traumatic experience with sex, and it's affected her. And let's go back to Japanese people don't believe in mental health. I'm half kidding, but a lot of Asian people don't believe in therapy, and it might have helped. I'm not judging her, but I'm just saying it might have helped. And also, as someone with a sexual PTSD, I understand not getting help. So I'm not judging her for not getting help. It's just, there's a lot, I guess, like, it's more of a fear of victim blaming, and so I think that's also a part of where it stands and where it goes together, which is completely a different topic if you want me to talk about it, but I don't think I'll talk about my own experience with it. But if you want me to talk about it in a more general sense, I will. She fucks a bunch of guys, meets a bunch of guys, but then we get to this guy, the guy on episode 6, as I wrote him in my notes. He is super fucking weird. They meet at a cafe, and is the only person who doesn't kind of want to have sex automatically. From this forum, these guys that she met, it is already, they already know what time it is. It is like, let's hook up culture time. But this guy is like, let's have coffee, let's talk, let's be like, and so at first you think this guy is gonna be the savior. He is gonna be this nice guy. We're finally getting a nice guy. And also nice guys. Just think about the stereotype for a nice guy, like, nice guy, right? So we get this nice guy, and then he starts talking about rehab, which rehab is the word he used, which can also be like therapy in some senses. So like to just rehabilitate yourself, you know the word I'm trying to say, like rehab yourself, right? And yeah, so he has some kind of mental health problem. Again, and he's seen as the very, very crazy person. You can be completely normal, have mental health problems, but they are, you know, pushing that like mental health bad. No, I'm half kidding, kind of. But yeah, he definitely has something like maybe Asperger's or some kind of, probably Asperger's. Obviously, like I said, not a therapist. And go to the mountains, and she's like, now? And then he's like, yeah, obviously mountains good, we should go to mountains. And so they climb a mountain, and this son of a bitch decides that he's gonna jerk off, not even in front of her, but like just give me a second. And he literally goes to the edge of this mountain and starts jerking himself off. Middle of the conversation. But they become friends somehow because he is in a few episodes, and they just, but I think here's how I analyzed that like little nugget. Sometimes when you see someone who is a lot more unstable than you are mental health wise, it makes you feel better. It's like this really bad thing, but it does make you feel better because you feel like at least I'm not that bad. Or like, it's like hanging out with a friend that's poorer than you, that's going through worse things than you, and feeling like, at least I am not that poor. At least I can do this. At least, and which is such a like fucked up way to think, but then it's human nature. It happens. It's okay. And because they do hang out a few times, and they actually do talk about random things and like things that are going on in her life that she doesn't talk to her husband about, that she doesn't talk to her other co-workers about because they don't seem to understand. And so he becomes like, this is the most healthy, like, therapeutic relationship she has in her whole life, which is interesting because he's so batshit crazy, right? Okay, as someone who is really into TV, film, analysis, I just thought that this part just really, like, I don't know why it gave me joy, but it just made me think, and I like things that make me think, so that happened. Alright, so the first guy that we meet that essentially like rapes her from that forum, he does also come back eventually. Yeah, when they're trying to fix their marriage, like, he is the thing that kind of opens up her, like, sexual awakening, but it's also the same person who snaps her back into a reality. This character has a whole full fucking story arc. But then it's kind of funny because he has no self-awareness himself. So this guy was very confused because she kind of just ghosted him after that first time, and so he's like, wait, you don't want to be my friend? What? Why? I guess he tries to contact her, like I said back in the beginning. She uses her real email. So, finds out where she works, and he goes and meets her, and he's like, I think he's moving or something, and he's like, I just want to do it with you one more time. Or something like that. Something like, I just want to do it with you, or I want to see you one more time. I think it was more like, I want to see you one more time, because he brought his daughter, so I don't think that he wanted to have sex with her, because that would be weird. I mean, he's a weird guy anyway, I don't know, but yeah, so, and literally, he's like, maybe you should try again with your husband, and gives her lube, like, just like, here, lube, and it's interesting, but like, what? Why? Like, yeah, like, it's just a really interesting, like, story arc, but then, like, she does try to fix her marriage a little bit after that, so that was interesting. And then we have a whole fucking episode where we just see the whole events of the TV show in a reverse order. We see the husband's side of the story, which I thought was really interesting, and I wish we did more than one episode because they kind of switched everything into a 35-minute episode, but, you know, I really enjoyed the husband's point of view because we don't really get to see the husband as much, and it's interesting. And some of the things that I feel like something is, he stops trying to have sex with her because he wants her to be happy, because he thinks that he's hurting her, and I mean, graphic things happen, but he wants so badly to make her happy. And I think this is also a conversation I've had with my partner, my boyfriend, and it's trying so hard to make someone happy, but it just never seems to work, and how it breaks him because it makes him feel hopeless, because he thinks that he's trying to, like, bring all this, like, he's trying to love me, trying to do it. By the way, I do have really bad depression, and so when I'm really in it, like when I'm in the thick of it, you can't get me out. Like, it's very hard to get me out of my depression. And so, yeah, and it's that same thing as feeling hopeless, feeling like you can't change the situation you're in, and even though you want the person that you're with to be happy, which sucks. It's a sucky feeling to be in, and I mean, a lot of this show can go back to if they only communicated, if they only talked about how they felt, it would be easier. But then here's the thing, I'm gonna be honest, it's when you're in a relationship and you are raised differently and you have different, like, just a lot of different things, it is sometimes hard to talk to your partner about things because the way that they understand things and the things you understand are different. And you can still love someone and know that, you know what I mean? So, look at me getting deep AF. No. I'm gonna read my notes for a second verbatim. So, I wrote, he wants to make her happy but feels hopeless. He sees her hurting and hates that he's doing that to her. It's the gist of, like, what I was trying to say a little bit, but, you know. And then he talks to so he's a high they're both teachers. He's a high school teacher. She's a middle school and elementary school teacher. He talks to one of his students about is sex love. Like there's like this whole scene where they're talking, and he apparently gets fucking written up for it because it's weird that he's. Oh, and also they're talking on like, so in Japan it's not that uncommon for kids to go up to the roof and just eat lunch or like hang out or talk or something like that if they want privacy. If you watch anime at any point, you've probably seen it. So they're talking there privately, but it's weird because he's handsome, but a significantly older teacher, middle-aged, probably like 30s actually, teacher, and she's a 16-year-old, so he gets written up. And we do hear about that earlier in the show, but it's just like, oh, he was just trying to give her advice. Why is it so wrong? It is the time and the place. The way you tell your story changes the fucking story. And that is also another ongoing theme with this, which is, I think, is very interesting. No matter on how you see it, things change. It actually changes the situation, which is life, but it's interesting, you know? Like, an analyst, I don't know. Another note through the husband episode was I realized they're both not honest with each other or themselves, and that's what makes their relationship so hard, even though they love each other. So that happens. Oh, so there is a sex shop and a bathhouse scene in this episode. Oh my god, this was so interesting for me. I've been TMI, but I have been in Japanese like a Japanese sex store before. I've never been to the bathhouse, but I've been to a Japanese sex store before. They are very interesting and like they're a lot more like equipped than American ones, but they're interesting, and it's just interesting to see someone go, like, I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. I just visually thought that those scenes were interesting, and yeah, because I kind of, obviously as a woman, I'm not gonna be able to feel the way that you feel when you're in an adult video store as a man, but like it just, I felt something, so that was cool. I think another thing that really did not help their situation, their relationship, anything, is that they don't really see each other. As a school teacher, obviously you have an 8-hour day, and then he wouldn't bring his work home. He had like this rule that he never wanted to bring his work home, probably because of how he was raised. He didn't want to bring his work home. Fine, okay, cool, but they don't see each other because of that, because he's working all from work, and then he comes home, eats, and then goes to sleep or jerks off, sleeps. Yeah, like, so that doesn't help. Which, that part I think is his fault for like not really hanging out with his wife, because I don't know, and I know it probably goes back to the hurt thing, it's like a cycle, but like it's still like I would hang out with my wife a little bit, but you know, that's just me. I'm not married, I have no wife, so I don't know. The thing I wrote was the husband is very passive, and they both want each other to start a conversation, it seems like, and no one does, and I think that is a bad, like, well, I mean, I'm passive, that level of passive sometimes too, so I can't really say much, but yeah. And then once we get, and then the end of that episode, the husband episode, actually there's a crying scene. So in the episode prior, the episode prior to that husband episode, Kumi-chan, she starts crying during this because she feels, you know, like she just wants her husband, and she just wants to be with her husband, and blah blah blah. And so I think essentially the show is supposed to like mimic as if they were crying at the same time, like as if it would be like the same scene. So they're crying with different same time. They're crying at the same time with different people. So Kumi-chan actually quits her job at one point, and there's a funeral back at her hometown. And this is the only character no, she does have a character development, but this is like the biggest character development, which is kind of sad, kind of, but it's a real person's life, so you know, it's harder when it's your life. It's easier when you're outside. She walks away from someone because she's like, fuck this, I'm not taking this, which fucking kudos to her. have a note on things I didn't really like that happened. Here's some things that actually bothered me about the show. They never talk about their fucking feelings together until until they get to a certain, I mean, they do end up talking to each other and discussing things and stuff like that, and their relationship kind of gets mended. It's as mended as they can be, but I feel like this, you know, like when something bad happens or like you have a life-changing experience and you change your life for a little bit, that's how it felt. It didn't feel like it would be permanent, but the show did end on like a cute note, but it was still like, this can't be a permanent thing. You still have these issues, so. And another thing that irked me is, why did she go to the doctor? Like I said, I don't really like gynecologists, but if it bothers you that much, go to the doctor, see what's up, especially if you can have sex with other people but not your husband. There must be some kind of reason. I don't know if it'll be mental or medical, but I feel like talking to a doctor about it probably would have helped their marriage a little bit. But I guess it's like a fear of being weird or wrong, which sucks, you know, like it sucks. That's a sucky thing to go through. So I get it, like, but like I wish she would have gone to the doctor. She does go to the doctor eventually, but when she does, she doesn't tell her the problem. She just says that she wants to get in vitro, and then like, and they're like, are you sure? Like, it's first of all, it's expensive, and there's a bunch of different laws for in vitro in Japan, which is also interesting. And like, he's like, oh, don't you want a baby? Like, why don't? And also, the doctor asks her like, oh, maybe the husband is what's wrong. Can he come in for an exam? And he's like, no, it's me. But she doesn't, like, she could have just explained to her what's going. I don't know. Like, it's just like a lot of like shame, and I guess, you know. And also, I'm coming from being obviously a Japanese American. I'm still American, and so we're a lot more open about our feelings. I'm a middle, honestly. I'm not like super, will tell you everything I feel, but, and you know, for some people I probably am extreme though. She could only have sex in rape-like scenarios, and that could be like, here's the thing, she could talk to, again, if she talked to her husband, there are like rape fantasy things, there are like BDSM, there's like different ways to go about it. But it's okay. It's fine. That's how she decided to go with it. First, and also, here's the thing. Like I said, everything I'm saying about this is as the TV show. Watching the TV show and analyzing it and be like, why don't you do this? Again, a lot of these things are hard to do when it's your life, your feelings, your like day to day. And I get that. So I'm not gonna be. I'm not saying this in like a harsh way, honestly. This is also based on a true story, a true person's life, so that's there. I really did enjoy the show, and the stuff that is around this like show is really interesting. So I started writing notes about this show from episode 6 and onward. So if you feel like shit is just all over the fucking place in my notes, and what I'm trying to say is because I went from 6 and onwards. Do you want to see my not pretty notes? These are my not pretty notes. I did switch pens a few times. Like, has a lot of what the fuck moments. It goes there. Like, when I mean it goes there, I've never seen an Asian TV show go there much, but I've heard they are going there a lot more often these days, because there's another show called The Naked Director, which I want to watch but I haven't watched, that has one of the most handsome fucking men in Japan, that also kind of is more about sex, but it's like from a man's perspective. So there are shows apparently that do go there now, but this was my first show that I've watched that says MA, and it is MA, and it wasn't like an Edo Jidai type of thing. Edo Jidai is like a Edo era show, which there was a lot of things going on back in old time Japan. Just like that. I'm cutting this off at a strange point, like just be like, okay, bye, but like I really don't know what else to say. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have watched this show and have feelings about this show, let me know. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. How do you feel? How would you go about this thing? And yeah, we'll talk in the next video. Bye.